my muse, and welcome to the very first YouTube AMA. As a celebration for getting to 5K subs on YouTube, I've decided to do an AMA, and if you check out, sometimes on a community, it'll usually be where I make my posts and stuff like that, teasing new audios and talking about, random stuff sometimes. And this time I decided to allow people who are subscribed on YouTube to ask their questions. I've done AMAs before, but never on YouTube, so this is going to be exciting. I think it's about time to, before we dive into it, I really want to say thank you all for being here and, well, enjoying my voice, I guess. That's the best way to put it. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your day. Now, we're just gonna do from the oldest to the newest, and if there's any questions that are a little too personal for me, I won't answer them. I am kind of a private person, so it can be a little hard to figure out which questions I do answer and which questions I don't. I'm not going to be, saying like, oh, that's too personal, blah, blah, blah. But I will say like, hey, here's my boundaries. So yeah. Happy New Year. Here's my question. When you plan for a series or a sequel, do you actually write the whole story down before recording anything? Or do you just wing it as you go? That's a good question. I've only done one series on YouTube, and it's the longest series I've ever done. It's the Mafia series. That one is all improv. However, I did write notes down not before starting it, but before starting the second installment of that series. I essentially wrote down exactly how I wanted the story to develop, but I didn't write like any script or whatever. It's just notes for what kind of stuff I want to have happen in every episode. And then sometimes if there's like lines that I think should be in there and very important, I'll just put them as like a little note from, hey, say this particular thing sometimes, right? That is the only time I've done it like that. I have done other series before, but they're not going to be up on YouTube. And they're all improv. That's, not planned out whatsoever. But for the Mafia series, which I'm referring to, that one is very, very plot heavy. And I want things to go how I have envisioned them. So it's really a helpful tool for improv to know how things are going to develop instead of meandering during the entire improv and then figure out, wait, I should have foreshadowed something or shouldn't have. Speaking of the Mafia series, by the way, just a little side note, that's going to be returning in January, probably. We'll see. I think January is when we're going to get the second to last installment. Happy New Year, Orpheus. Thank you. Happy New Year's as well. Congrats on 5K. Love your content and so excited to see what you'll do next. So lovely of you to do an AMA. I really want to ask, what made you want to do voice acting? And do you take inspiration from anything? Wish you the best for the new year and years to come. By the way, I'll be drinking in between. Thank you for the kind wishes and celebrations. What made me want to start doing voice acting? To be like as how can I be as direct as I possibly can? It was really on a whim that I decided to start this up. Which is, not something you'll usually hear, I think. I think like a lot of people will be like, oh, voice acting, I really wanted to get into it from a very early age, or, I know all these voice actors and I idolize them or stuff like that. I didn't. I really just one day woke up and was like, yeah, let me try this out. That being said, I did have experience doing music stuff and vocal stuff, not singing myself, but mixing for people who sing and doing stuff like that. So I already kind of had an association with it, but never with acting, never with voice acting myself. So it might be an anticlimactic answer, but yeah, that's it. And do you take inspiration from anything? I mean, I guess I take inspiration from, peers. That's one source of inspiration, not in terms of the ideas themselves, but rather, what kind of equipment they say is good or stuff like that, right? I take inspiration from, honestly, TV shows tend to be an inspiration, especially for the longer running ones. The Yanru Mafia Boyfriend one, I think that one really came from TV shows, and I really wanted to tell a story that's like, long-term mafia kind of thing, even though it wasn't really inspired by mafia, but rather a Yakuza show called, I don't remember the name. It came out recently as well, or the second season came out recently. I think it was called Tokyo. Oh man, it takes place in Tokyo. It's about this journalist that investigates the Yakuza. I'll get to it. I can't even pause the recording. I thought I was going to be able to figure it out on my own, but no, I'm just going to look it up. Through the magic of editing, I am back instantly. It's Tokyo Vice. I was so close to it as well. I was so close to it. Damn it. That's one thing about me. If I have something in my head that I can't remember, that will throw me off balance for the entire day if I don't know what it is. So I have to look it up the moment I don't remember it. Anyway, thank you for the questions. Happy New Year and congratulations. Happy New Year as well. Question 1, what are your hobbies? My hobbies, I enjoy playing the guitar. I enjoy singing, but singing is something of a work in progress. Music is like a major thing for me. Other than that, I really enjoy reading. I've really gotten into reading in the past 2 years, reading a lot of fiction, reading classics, fantasy, stuff like that. I recently finished up reading Wuthering Heights, which was really good. And now the way that I'm doing it is I will read a classic or two classics, classic literature, and then I'll read something that's like almost like a breather for me, which usually tends to be fantasy. So right now I'm reading a lot of Brandon Sanderson. I'm around like 2/3 of the way of like his Cosmere books, so that's a lot of fun. What is a skill that you would like to learn? Good question. I would like to learn bouldering, but I am afraid of heights. So it really is one of those things where like almost every part of bouldering appeals to me, like the mental game, the puzzle aspect of it, the working out stuff, but the heights really terrify me. So yeah, that's one thing that I would like to learn. Also, singing. I'm going to be doing singing classes in the near future, and I want to be able to sing like in a healthy way. So that's one thing. Yeah. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. What's your favorite movie genre? Usually historical timepieces, drama, slice of life movies, and also fantasy. Yeah, those would be the ones. Happy New Year and congratulations. First question, what inspired you to do ASMR videos? Okay, so I already kind of answered that, but I can be a little bit more in detail with what inspired me to go on YouTube. Because I've been doing like ASMR before YouTube as well. Going on YouTube, I really wanted to do stories without being beholden to more of the really spicy stuff, right? So that is something I really wanted to do. Yeah. Second question, which video or videos did you have fun / difficult time making? I'm gonna have to look at my videos, to be honest, because I have a bad habit of just not remembering what I even said or the process once I finish a video. Actually, Caught in the Elves Rangers trap was very difficult for me because I don't remember. Do I talk in kind of a British accent in that one? Because if I did, that's usually when I'll have a lot of difficulty. I'm not the best at accents. I try to be better at it, but that is one thing that is very challenging for me, but also kind of fun. Doing a fantasy thing, I usually find a little bit more difficult. I'm like, okay, what can I incorporate from like this fantasy setting and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Happy New Year and congrats on a 5K. I'm absolutely hooked on your Mafia series, if that wasn't obvious already. And I guess my question would be, what's your process for writing it? I kind of already answered that. I said like, hey, I have the notes ready, but most of it is improv. Was it the same as your other audios, or did you approach this one differently? I know you improv a lot. You're insanely good at it. Thank you. And you mentioned you had the end in sight for the Mafia series set out from the very first episode. So how much writing and how much improv went into it? Is it half and half, or do you have an outline to work with? P.S. I think you'd be amazing at a Marble Hornets style RPG. I really enjoy the treasure hunts and unhelpful hints for spoilers during the series. Okay, I guess I can elaborate a little bit. I would say in terms of me following the notes, that's pretty close. Like there's only been a few times where I don't follow notes in terms of things that are going to be happening, right? And that will be like a spontaneous decision of it not feeling right. I would say like 90% of it is improv, and then the 10% is just guiding it along to its desired point, right? Yeah. Next question. Do you have any favorite tropes? Either that you like to perform or just enjoy in general. Also, yay, 5K, well done, thank you. Favorite trope? Probably yandere. I really like doing yandere. I really like doing darker characters. Yeah. I guess I also really like... I gotta do more bully audios, because I do enjoy bully audios. Yeah. To add a second question, when you do another Safe for Work series, are you going to do really annoying teasers in Discord again, or are you going to be normal? I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for all your hard work this year, but maybe not so much us going insane over cryptic messages. Yeah, so there's this thing where people think I post like cryptic messages and like teasers for stuff. I don't know what they are talking about. I am as straightforward as an arrow hitting its target. I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, congrats on 5K. You definitely deserve all of the success and so much more. My question is, what is your favorite album of all time? Thanks for all your hard work. Wow, you've got me in a bind here. It is so hard to say like favorites. I can maybe say like favorite right now, like the albums that I'm listening to the most right now. Probably at the moment, I'm really back in kind of a David Bowie phase. Black Star I've listened to a lot. But I think overall the album that I like listen to the most, probably Morning View by Incubus. Yeah, probably that. Congratulations and Happy New Year. Oh, thank you for the question, by the way. Oh, and Happy New Year. You recently spoke German in one of your audios. How do you know German, i.e. native speaker or student? I'm half German. I'm curious about your channel name, Orpheus. Do you sing? I have sung in audios before, yeah. I've mentioned that I really want to improve with it. I don't think I've ever sung in a YouTube audio, though. Should probably do that. Congrats on 5K. Thank you for the question, by the way. What time period would you go back and live in if given a choice? Ooh. I probably wouldn't want to go back too far. It can get pretty dangerous. Probably 80s. I'd want to go back. Maybe, 80s. 80s seems like a fun time to be in. I feel like that time period, probably a little bit more chill. Maybe not. But right now there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I feel like maybe it's really rose-tinted glasses, but when I look at like videos, how there's like recordings of people in the 80s, it all looks a little chill. It depends on where you were, though, of course. If you woke up tomorrow and were no longer a VA, would you want to do it at all over again? What would you do differently? I would definitely do it over again. This has been such a fun experience. So yes, absolutely. What would you do differently? That's an interesting question. I think I would probably... Well, first of all, I would definitely use the experience that I've gathered up and then completely change the audio chain, like the processing and stuff like that. Because starting out, things were pretty rough audio-wise. But that's a very practical thing. I don't know if I'd do that many things differently, to be honest. I don't really feel like, looking back on it, I've just been super happy about it. So yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think I'd do a lot of things differently other than just using the knowledge that I've, and the things that I've learned. And then, using that. And with knowledge, I mean like very practical things. Cheers to 5K. Thank you. Questions. Cheers, by the way. How's your wrist doing these days? I think you mentioned it was injured a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's like really an up and down thing. I try to do stretches as much as I can. I'll be thinking like, oh, it's fine. And then right now I'm doing like a stretch. And then I notice, oh, wait, it's still there. Like there's still some tension and a little bit of pain there. And I feel like every single time I do a workout, it always comes back a little bit, but it's not as hindering as it used to be. So yeah. Is there something on the back burner you've been wanting to pick up or get back into? Do you mean in terms of like audios? That's an interesting one. Maybe the Elf Ranger could be a good one to return to. Maybe the shopping at the mall with your bully as well. I think that one I might return to eventually. Yeah. Question, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? Also a big fan of your singing. Wish you would do some covers or even shorts. Yeah, maybe in the future. Superpower. I think teleportation would be kind of nice, because then you'd be able to like visit like all kinds of places. I think there was a movie once that was like about that, where someone would be able to like teleport all over the world, and that kind of stuck with me. And I was like, yeah, no, that would be kind of fun. Congrats, 4 to 5K. I'm an international listener, so sorry for my horrible English writing. I'm looking at the comment and it seems perfectly, good. So, first I want to thank you for your audios. I'm going through a rough time in my life and listening to them makes my day more enjoyable. 1, do you have any pets? No, I don't. I do want to get a cat. That being said, sometimes I do watch the neighbors' cat. So that's almost like I'm the godfather of that cat, I guess. But no, I don't have any pets. I want to get a cat. Number 2, I've also been following you on Reddit for a while, and I'd like to know what kind of audios you like to make the most. These on YouTube or the others? I personally enjoy both, but I'd like to know your opinion. I hope you can answer my questions. Love from Mexico. Hey, thank you for the questions. It really depends on the kind of mood that I am in. Sometimes I will enjoy doing the more NSFW audios, and sometimes I enjoy doing these. It really depends on the day. Yeah. Next question. Congrats on the 5K. What's your MBTI personality type? I remember it's the same as Tolkien, but I don't remember which one that is. So I'm going to have to check. Yeah, here we go. It is the INFP. Daydreamers, creative and imaginative. Happily lose themselves in daydreams, inventing all sorts of stories and conversations in their mind. That seems pretty accurate considering, what I do. Yeah, that's the one. What are your hobbies and interests? Singing, reading books. I don't know. Like you also ask, what do you like to do to relax? And I guess reading books is both a hobby, and playing the guitar are both kind of things that I do to relax. I work out, but I wouldn't consider that a hobby. I don't really like doing it. It's mainly for myself, right? Listening to music, and for relaxing, it's not really a hobby, but I do going out into the city and just kind of hanging out there. So yeah. Next question. Are you German? Half German. Yeah. Next question. Oh, someone just saying congratulations. Hey, thank you so much. Hi, Orpheus. Did you study psychology or something like that? No, not anywhere close, actually. I did. So I studied in the social sciences, which I guess there's a little bit of psychology in there, but no, I didn't study psychology in and of itself. I would have enjoyed it, but they made it a requirement to have a certain grading in math, and I'm terrible at math, so I don't think I would have ever been able to study psychology. How do you know so much about women's feelings? I don't want to make any presumptions about that myself. I guess, like, I've always had more female friends than male friends in school and then university. I think it also the how do you say it? The study that I've done, I think 10% is guys and 90% is girls, right? So it might sound a little bit egotistical, but I have a lot more experience talking to women. And to be honest, I find it more comfortable talking to women than I do guys. I know that a lot of guys I talk to have kind of the inverse where they're more relaxed around guys. And, you know, that it really depends. But for me, I don't know, it's just easier. That I find guys a lot harder to get like a connection with than I do with girls. But it really depends on the guy as well, right? Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I am always amazing at like knowing, you know, what goes on in people's heads. But yeah, I think that might be a factor. I don't know. Do you write your own audio stories? I don't write as much anymore. I used to do scripts and OCs, OCs being original content scripts. But nowadays, most of it that I do is improv. Thank you for the questions. Congrats on 5K and everything else. My question is, do you warm up your voice before recording? I usually don't, and I really should. Love and hugs from Kodawig. Thank you, thank you. Congrats on 5K plus and counting. If you don't feel comfortable answering some questions, feel free to skip. Okay. Favorite animal? No zoo jokes, sir. I don't know what you mean by the zoo joke. I would never make jokes about a particular kind of zoo, even though they're usually terrible because I only have one animal. It's a Shih Tzu. Favorite animal? I always really like leopards. I think leopards are really, really cool. What's a dream project, projects you want to achieve or accomplish, VA related and or in general? I guess outside of VA stuff, I really want to write a book in my lifetime, mainly for myself. I would really like to finish a book or an album, one of the two. How do you handle criticism? Good question regarding your VA work. So honestly, here's the thing, right? Like usually you will get certain types of critique. There are three types. You have critique that is like good faith, right? Where it's like someone talking like, hey, you know, maybe you can improve upon this and stuff like that. And I'll take that to heart, right? It doesn't always mean that I will do it, but no problem with that. And then there's critique that is not good faith, right? Mainly just insults, but those don't really get to you, to be honest. For me, they don't really get to me when it's something like basic, like you suck or stuff like that. It's like, okay, I can go about my day pretty easily. Critique that's a lot more personal, that can get under your skin, and that's really something as a content creator, you have to start training yourself to be able to let it go, right? It can stick with you, but you kind of have to practice and to be mindful that when it gets you or you think about it during the day, that it's like, okay, this is just some random person on the internet, right? Like there are so many more things to worry about, and you kind of have to train yourself to, you know, not let it get to you. What are some green flags and red flags to you? I mean, red flags for me are usually pretty the basic ones, like if someone is super rude to waiters or you know, staff or customer service or stuff like that is always a red flag. Let me think. Green flags, I would say if someone's good with animals, it's usually a very much a green flag for me. Someone that's like naturally funny, very much a green flag. Yeah. I also think someone that is someone that exudes kindness is like, and I wouldn't even be able to give any examples, but that is very much a green flag for me. One more red flag, let me think. I guess a red flag for me, and this doesn't even have to be in a romantic sense, someone who takes way more than they give, right? Someone who, like when you do someone a favor, that there's no thankfulness, they kind of just expect it from you. that is a massive red flag for me. Also someone who like there's nothing wrong with, as a caveat, there's nothing wrong with being like your own person and being very, you know, a free person and stuff like that, you know, traveling whenever you want. But someone who does not care about showing up on time at all, someone who doesn't care about other people's time and responsibility in general, that is a red flag for me. I couldn't be friends with someone like that. What do you do in your free time when you're not doing VA work? So right now, most of like it really is reading, playing music. I've started going to singing classes, gym work, like working out, cooking, doing like apartment stuff, shopping, and rotting, or rather just like essentially me time, right? Hanging out with people, or just like being on my own and just doing nothing, which I think is kind of important. Just like not having anything to worry about, like shutting off all your for me, like all my VA stuff, and just, I don't know, watch Twitch streamers or watch YouTube videos and stuff like that, which I think is a great way for my brain to just completely shut off. We know you stream. Do you have any plans to do hand cam streams? Maybe one day. We'll see. We'll see if I can set that up. What are some rewarding things you love? Oh, by the way, when I make promises about saying like, hey, maybe one day, don't keyword there's maybe. There could be a never, right? But I'm never closing the door on it, right? But don't you know, feel pressured or feel like that is going to be a done thing. What are some rewarding things you love about your work, being a VA, etc.? And what are some things you dislike about your work? For example, dislike parasocial relationships, etc. One thing I really like is when people say that like their day has improved because of the work that I do. That is one thing that's very rewarding to me. As well as just finishing an audio and then being like, oh man, this is a really good one. That can be very, very rewarding. Things that I dislike, you already mentioned like the parasocial relationship kind of thing. It can be like a very subtle thing with parasocial relationships, right? There is kind of a, you know, almost this agreement between the listener and the speaker and this kind of thing. There is very much this, you know, when you act out certain characters or you talk in a certain type of way to the listener, there has to be kind of an agreement that for that audio, there is definitely a connection, right, between the listener and the speaker. But then once the audio is over, right? And finding like the best ways to clarify that to the listener can be quite challenging and difficult, right? So yeah, that's definitely one thing that is a side effect of what I do that can be quite challenging. Also, the thing is, right, when you make this type of content, sometimes you're aware that there are around the clock going to be people listening, right? Multiple people listening. And that can be quite like you almost like disconnect from that in a way where you don't really think about it, but when you do, it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's so many people listening to my work. And that can be quite jarring to think about. Yeah. What are your thoughts on parasocial relationships in this VA work? I tried my best to put up boundaries, and once every few months I will, you know, make a post or make an audio talking about it. It might happen in the future as well. Mm, and I think that's very important for a VA, because I think that really is also kind of a responsibility of the VA to let people know, like, hey, what are your boundaries? What are things you're okay with? What are not? Like, you can't expect the listener to always know, right? So that is something that is every VA, I think, should look inwardly and think about how they approach things when it comes to interacting with their listeners. My random questions, I hope I'm not late and that none of these cross the line. If they do, then I won't answer them. Yeah, ignore them, LMFAO. LMFAO, I pronounce it like the band for some reason. Did you have any certain fears about starting that were eradicated once you settle into your VA work? And how did you work through them? Sounds like a question a therapist would ask. I guess one of the fears was that people would not like my voice at all. I'm not someone who particularly enjoys listening to my own voice when I'm editing. So that is one thing that I was definitely somewhat afraid of, that the reception would just be either, no no response at all, and then finding out that people really don't care that much, which didn't happen. So very happy about that, and that there would be people being like, this guy's voice is just not it, right? That was definitely a fear. Yeah. Do you feel pressured sometimes to make audios that you don't enjoy much, or even add certain tidbits that irk you? So here's the thing. I try to only make audios that I enjoy making. That being said, when sometimes I'll do commissions, right? And when it's commissions, it's really kind of a different thing. Like, yeah, I'll have my boundaries and I'll have my limits, but I'm a lot more flexible with saying certain things that I wouldn't particularly enjoy doing, or certain scenarios that I wouldn't particularly enjoy doing. I will never say which, of course. I don't want to ruin that for the listener that commissioned it, but I'm a little bit more flexible that way. Things that irk you, no, I try not to be honest. I try to only make audios that I would personally enjoy listening to as well. Do you record your improvs naturally? Like, it just comes to you from the top of your head? Or is it like an inspiration or a mix, or both? They're very well done. It's weird in a good way how you can suck us into these insane universes you create, lol. Thank you. Actually, if you want to see the process sometimes I'll do streams on Twitch, where you can see me doing some of these improvs for YouTube, so you can kind of see how I approach things and stuff like that. You'll see kind of the bloopers behind it as well as sometimes I'll do Discord stuff for the stuff that isn't going up on YouTube, so you can see the process for that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's kind of it's all improv, but I'll sometimes have the scenario kind of in my head, especially when I'm going to sleep. I'll be like, okay, maybe I can do something like this and something like this, right? Yeah. Did you decorate your your I don't know if I could say this on YouTube, your crazy person desk? In some ways I have. I've put up like a tea warmer thing. But no, not yet. How do you stay consistent, like on the days when you just don't feel like getting anything done? Honestly, just a good general question. It can be with anything, I try not to push myself as much. I'm like, when it's a day where I really, really, really don't feel like recording, I won't. Even if it's like, if it means that I'll skip a recording schedule, right? I feel like it's more important to bring out work that is quality as much as I can. Sometimes there will be days where I'm like, I'll just do it right now, because otherwise you're going to be in a scenario where you're just going to keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and then you kind of spiral down, right? So I try to be aware of my limits, but sometimes you just gotta push through it, right? Would you be open to doing more fluffy safe for work audios? Yeah, definitely. I might do some in the future. Does anyone close to you know that you're a VA, or is it confidential info for you and all and us listeners? No. I have never told anyone in my family. I have been vague about it with friends that I do voice acting, but that's about it. I'm being so unserious with this question, but you don't have to give out specifics at all about who they are. Yeah, no. I try to keep that really, really private. Oh yeah, another one. Have you ever thought about recording an audio that's related to your username, like the story behind Orpheus and Eurydice, but with your own personal twist on it? Yes, I have. That like I said before in this AMA, like don't think that something is happening when I say, oh, it might. That's probably something that's definitely happening. Yeah. Thank you for the questions. Hello, Orpheus, long-time safe for work lurker, first-time commenter. I have a question about your editing. Your videos always have been super immersive, and I want to ask if you had any previous experience editing videos prior to starting your ASMR channel. Not editing videos, that's really something I had to learn on the fly, but editing audios, yes, I've had experience. Also, congratulations on 5K. Your quality of work definitely deserves it. Thank you so much. Congrats. Next question. I have a process question. I know most of what you do these days is improvise, but how far in advance do you plan out scenarios? I've noticed little Easter eggs and little bits of foreshadowing, so I'm curious to know if you just sort of riff the whole way through, or if you have an outline planned with certain beats to add. I kind of already touched upon that with like audios that will have more parts. For audios that have no, like I don't plan on continuing, they are basically completely improv. Yeah. For audios that are more parts, I will usually do an improv and I'll see how much potential they have to be like a series. And then once I decide that they have potential to be a series, that's when I'll like make what I've already talked about, like a note of certain stuff, and think about, okay, what could happen in part 2, part 3, and stuff like that. But it's like literally maybe 3 to 4 sentences. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. Oh, all right. Those are all the questions. Thank you all so much. I had so much fun recording this. Thank you. Thank you. I did have to do it over the course of 2 days because my voice was getting tired in between. I wonder if you noticed the edit. Let me know in the comments if you could spot the edit where the next day started. Yeah. I kind of took a break off of YouTube, by the way. This is going to be the first audio in 2 weeks. I really wanted to give myself a break for the new year, but after this, audios will be returning probably every week or so. This AMA is probably going to be a surprise drop, and then next week we are going to be meeting a vampire. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for the 5K, and I am so looking forward to seeing what 2025 will bring. Thank you again, and I will see you all in the next audio.